Seriously, for the next 5 seconds, picture anything you want, but do not let a fluffy white polar bear pop into your head. I repeat, do not let a fluffy white polar bear pop into your head. You thought about it, didn't you? Almost instantly. So don't beat yourself up. It's not a lack of willpower. It's actually a design flaw built right into human biology. We've been told our whole lives that if we want to get over anxiety, depression, focus on a task, figure out a massive problem in our lives, or stop a bad habit, we just need to fight and fight and fight and fight the thoughts that are right now inside our head, and that will force the bad thoughts away. But science says that fighting your thoughts is actually the fastest way to make them stronger. Back in the 90s, a psychologist named Daniel Wagner wanted to know why our brains do this. He came up with something called the ironic process theory. It turns out, when you tell your brain not to think about something, it splits the job into two mental processes. To make it more simple, first you have the operating process of your thoughts. This is the effortful, conscious part of your brain that actively hunts for distractions. It says, okay, let's think about what's for dinner instead. But at the exact same time, your brain spins up a second subconscious process, the monitoring process. Its only job is to scan your mind to make sure you aren't thinking about the forbidden thing. But maybe that was more formally explained, but I wanted to share what's happening there. So, see the irony? To check if you are not thinking about the white bear, the monitor constantly has to ask, hey, are we thinking about the white bear yet? The moment you get tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, anything, your conscious brain loses energy. The operator part shuts down, but that automatic monitor keeps running. Suddenly, the very thought you were trying to outrun floods your brain. When we look at modern neuroscience, it gets even crazier. When you aren't actively doing a specific task, like anything imaginable, the DMN network activates. Formally said, a massive neural highway activates. As you may already know, the DMN is basically your brain's narrative self. It's the part of your brain that travels through time, mulls over old regrets, worries about the future, and generates your anxieties. When you try to forcefully smash a negative thought down, you actually trigger a massive spike in stress hormones like cortisol. Your brain perceives your own internal thoughts as an actual physical threat. You think you're fighting harder, you think you're closer to finally figure out that insanely heavy problem in your soul. But instead, you log yourself into a literal state of fight or flight against your own mind. You are using energy to fight a shadow. And what is the most craziest thing? The shadow always wins. So, what is the actual fix? If you can't find your thoughts inside our head, disgusting, intrusive thoughts, what do you do? Psychologists call it cognitive diffusion, and it's a core part of acceptance and commitment therapy. Instead of fighting the thought, it starts by changing your relationship to it. You stop treating the thought like a command and start treating the thought instead like data. For example, instead of thinking, I'm going to fail this presentation, I need to stop thinking that. You step back and say, I'm noticing that my mind is having the thought that I might fail, but maybe it's just my biology, etc., etc. It sounds incredibly simple, but neurologically, that tiny shift strips the thought of its power. You aren't suppressing the default mode network, you're just refusing to overheat it, to argue with it. You let the thought exist. You acknowledge it like a noisy neighbor. And you let it pass. You know, when I say stop fighting your mind, the moment you give a thought permission to be there, it loses the power to control you. I really appreciate from the bottom of my heart for your precious time. Truly, it means so much that I could talk to you. I really enjoyed hanging out with you. Feel absolutely free to explore anything about our minds, our happiness, life, etc. Anything mind-blowing in other videos. And just chill back with me and relax with me. Please take care, especially take care. And I'm so excited to get you soon.